get a ruling on it, though. I think it was.
I'm going to read in all the things first and then.
I can't
Good to go.
Recording all set? Awesome.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, November 30th, 2023, and we are at 7:02 p.m. This is the Franklin Conservation Commission. I am going to go ahead and read into our, where's my normal?
The agenda has the.
Sorry, everyone, give me just a minute. I just have a number I need to read in, which is on the agenda that is not in front of me, so give me 2 seconds. Thank you, Tyler, appreciate it. All right, so we are here live on Zoom. We are able to attend in person or via the Zoom platform. In an effort to ensure citizen engagement and comply with open meeting law regulations, citizens will be able to dial into the meeting using the provided phone number on the agenda, or citizens can participate by copying the link on the agenda into Zoom. The Zoom meeting number is 8244-511-5733. Or you can call, the phone number is 929-205-6099. And again, that meeting number is 8244-511-5733. If you have trouble accessing through the link, please call on your phone and use *6 to toggle between mute and unmute and *9 to raise your hand. If you do wish to attend in person, the meeting is held in council chambers on the second floor of the municipal building. We are going to go ahead to start the meeting and just unfortunately take a 5-minute recess just to allow our chair to join us. So we will be back in 5. Thank you very much.
Recording stopped.
Thanks, Tyler. But did not say anything about being recorded yet.
Okay.
I wanted to just add that in.
Okay, we will lift.
You have to wait the 5 minutes in case anybody stepped away in that time.
Oh.
So we have to wait for that to expire.
Okay. That's fine.
7:08, we can jump back in.
Recording in progress.
Recess. Let's reopen where we were.
Roll call.
Roll call. Okay, roll call first.
Richard Johnson.
Martin Page.
Jeff Milne.
Jeff Livingstone.
Meg Hagan.
Michael Ryan.
Roger Trahan.
We have a full house. I'd like to point out that this meeting is being recorded, both audio and video. And I just wanted to ask if anyone is interested in making their own private recording of this meeting, could they please simply let us know? Without further ado, I'll open the public hearing for the NOI for 15 Liberty Way. And I see here that we have a recommendation for continuation.
Yes, that's correct. So the applicant has yet to pay the scope and fee amendment. I have passed that along. So we're just waiting for that to be paid to continue review.
Okay. Is there anyone here from 15 Liberty Way?
I am here, yes.
Okay.
Brico is correct. Yeah, we got that peer review scope amendment recently. I'm told by my client that that check is out their door, so hopefully that should be making it to you soon. We have filed with DEP and gotten a DEP file number. We have file number 1591282 with no technical comments issued. Earlier this week, we submitted an updated invasive species management plan as part of our mitigation for the impacts of the project. The site plans continue to undergo some revisions with planning board review, but in terms of layout of the site and impacts to resource areas and buffer zones, those things are unchanged. So I'll be getting those updated plans over to you shortly.
Okay. Is there anyone here that wants to make, or anyone online that wants to make a comment about 15 Liberty Way, as it is an open meeting? Okay. There being none, I'll take a motion to continue to December 14th, 7:02 p.m.
Mr. Chairman, I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 15 Liberty Way to December 14th at 7:02.
Second that.
Okay.
Vote to continue.
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 Okay. 15 Liberty Way is continued to December 14th at 7:02 p.m. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Now I'd like to open up the NOI for 0 Upper Union Street Solar. I also see here that we have a recommendation for continuation.
Yep, so since we last met, I have received updated information from the applicant and representative for 0 Upper Union. I've also, as of today, received a beta peer review letter. I have not yet had time to review that. So the applicant is here, and Elise Tripp is on Zoom to both present their updates and review.
Okay. Would you? Okay.
Good evening, Colleen DiBenedetto with Volta Energy and for the applicant VSE and Smart LLC. Tonight we have Rich Tabazinski from Atlantic Design Engineers. There's a presentation on our updates, as well as Andrew Tebow from Goddard Consulting.
Good evening, Rich Tabazinski with Atlantic Design Engineers. I just wanted to briefly go through some of the events that have happened over the last several months, and it basically resulted in earlier this month we had submitted a revised package of materials for your review, and that those materials also went to DEP and to your consultant peer review engineer. And you should also know that revised plans, calculations, everything went to the planning board also.
Huh.
And that there's a hearing, I believe, Monday night?
Yes.
Monday night, yeah,
Okay.
with the planning board for those same revised materials, which included a full set of revised site plans, a stormwater addendum, and various response letters that we put together. It was kind of a combined effort between Atlantic and Goddard Associates in terms of responding to the comments from not only the Beta, their notice of intent review, but their review for the planning board, the town engineer's comments, the planning board's comments, and DEP's comments. We've basically combined all that into one revised set of drawings that we believe addresses all those comments, and that was submitted, like I indicated earlier this month. Also, what has occurred was, and part of that review from Beta Associates was an on-site review of the wetland locations, the wetland line, that was completed in September, I believe. Yep. And so there was on-site meetings, and basically the results of that was some revised wetland flags, and that expanded the two lower wetlands slightly, and also an isolated vegetated wetland was discovered on the kind of in the middle of the property there, and so those areas were field surveyed. I guess they were agreed upon out in the field, and then field survey located by us and shown on the revised plans. So the result of that, basically, there were some minor revisions to the layout itself, but it ended up resulting in this small isolated wetland proposed to be filled. And part of that, there was a lot of information provided by Goddard Associates regarding the need for that filling, the variance requests for that, mitigation plans, replication plans, a functions and characteristics report that was all submitted as part of the package to provide mitigation efforts for that filling of that isolated wetland area there. And I'll let Andrew from Goddard Associates answer any questions or go through any of those reports regarding the mitigation proposed for that area. In terms of the site plans that you have, this is a presentation board only, but you have a full set of drawings in front of you. The project was slightly reduced in size in terms of the number of panels and the fenced-in area. But also, you might notice that the actual cleared area that's for the site increased slightly, and that was mainly because of some additional stormwater measures that we had to, in terms of swales and other avenues that we had to incorporate into the design just to respond to your peer review comments. So, though the actual solar project itself got a little bit smaller, there was some additional clearing beyond the fence that was needed to address some of the stormwater comments. The buffer zone impacts regarding the 0 to 25 foot buffer zone and the 100-foot buffer zone were revised also. I have a new table of those requirements. I can give out copies of those, but I believe we emailed over earlier today a revised table showing those numbers. As you might have noticed, most of them went up from the original submittal, but that was basically because of the additional wetlands that were found on the site. To address the peer review comments for stormwater, one of the items we did was to incorporate it. We went out and performed test pits at the two basin locations and actually found some fairly decent material with decent high groundwater conditions. And so we were able to adjust the designs of those two basins to account for some infiltration, and the net result was we were able to meet the pre- and post-development runoff rates, but in addition to runoff rates, we were also able to meet the runoff volumes to all the various design points and abutting properties. So that whole stormwater addendum was submitted to your peer review engineer to go through, along with our response letter, which we hopefully will get reviewed fairly soon, hopefully. We did receive the Beta's peer review on the notice of intent and the wetland boundaries, but I guess they're still working on their review for the planning board, which included the stormwater review. So we don't have their, I'm optimistic, hopefully, but we don't have their sign off yet on the stormwater, but that'll hopefully come soon. In terms of Beta's review of the notice of intent, in that package, their letter was received today, a second review letter, and basically just had some very few minor items left that we feel we can address rather easily, or even incorporate as conditions of approval, if that's the commission's desire. And basically, that's a summary of the changes of what we've made so far. And I don't know if, Andrew, if you wanted to go through the mitigation and the wetland filling yet, or just open it up to questions at this point.
Yeah, I'm happy to give a quick recap to the commission and
I think
any
that-
questions, and we can take it from that
Yeah.
point forward.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Perfect, yeah. Thank you. For the record, Andrew Tebow with Goddard Consulting. So, as Rich had just stated, about half the documents came over to you guys were prepared by Goddard. Those included anything with restoration, mitigation, variance requests. So Goddard had ourselves drafted up responses to all the peer review comments that pertain to either the wetland review or wetland impacts. So you would have seen the first document that came in from Goddard would have been a step-by-step response to the open peer review comments. That would have included a recap of all areas that we looked at in the field together. So it would have been the revisions at the pinch point for the road that we had discussed that increased that area into 25 a little bit. It was the discovery of the isolated wetland, and then there's a few other areas that we looked at and ultimately deemed that they were correct in the field and left. So the goal there was just to add to the record compliance with each comment, make sure that was all open. Another open comment from Beta was the intermittent stream that flows internal of the A-Series BVW. It's just an internal stream that flows off-site. We've provided a stream stats analysis just to get a little bit more information on that. I believe Beta's recommendation was that we put on the record with the condition that it's there internal but was not included as part of the delineation, and we are more than happy to do so. Also, to comply with Beta's comments, there was a very fair comment about the original restoration plan that was submitted. So they provided a comment about that we're preparing to revegetate the cart path that you see here. Beta's only concern in that area was that that would have been potentially compacted area, having been trafficked for quite a few years. So they wanted to comment about how we would be able to comply with that when we see that out there. So we added a short paragraph into our restoration plan and revised the date. It just talks about if we were to find compacted soils, how far down we would excavate, what material would be brought in to add clean fill on top, just to ensure that there's enough organic material on top. And then we also added a quick detail in some leaf litter spreading just to increase the organic content, and then some logs and some rocks just to create little microhabitats around it. So just beefed up that plan a little bit per that comment. The two open items right now were the two new variance requests that were submitted to the commission. Originally, we had the variance request for the roadway coming in. That since we revised the isolated wetland here, bumped a few flags out just a little bit closer, we still have all the available upland in between the two wetlands to get into the site. But what had happened is that 25-foot increase now meant that we have a little bit more encroachment into the 25-foot no disturb zone. When that is the case, we always try and find mitigation on site at a 2-to-1 ratio. Unfortunately, with this site, we have, as shown here, the power line easement going through the property. So what we were able to find is that cart path up here, that 617 square feet that we proposed as restoration, that is the only area that is either degraded, unvegetated, there's no invasive species cover. So there were no more areas in the northern portion of the lot to provide any more mitigation. We certainly looked. It was not due to a lack of effort, but it's all natural up there. And then the remainder of the site is the power line easements. Anything that we would do in there, we can't guarantee we can maintain in perpetuity, of course. So we proposed mitigation to the extent possible, and we added everything we could to that plan to comply to the open comments. And then that variance request was submitted just to basically request relief from the mitigation that we can't provide. The other variance request that you had seen there was for the filling and the replication of the IBW. So that will be filled and replicated at a ratio of 2-to-1 per the standards, but the variance that was submitted was just for permission to fill it. There was an alternatives analysis associated with that. Essentially, it had fallen too close into the center of the solar field, where any sort of workaround then took apart panels and moved things to the side where there was no longer a viable project that the solar field would be able to produce any sort of renewable energy to meet the project goals. So the idea was that we would submit an alternatives analysis and we would mitigate at a 2-to-1 BBW replication. We submitted a full replication plan there. So with that came what we call a functions of values analysis. We take the wetland that we're going to be filling and we talk about all of its features that it's performing, whether that be wildlife habitat, flood control, storm damage prevention, and we break down what that wetland was providing to the site, and then we add sections for each of how the new replication area will provide that as well. We mimicked the plantings that were already within the IBW to go into the BBW to keep the same wildlife benefits to the site, and then we do it at a 2-to-1 ratio to make sure that we're leaving the site in as good or better condition as we found it with the project. So all of those came your way about 2 weeks ago now, so that's my quick recap, but if you guys have any in-depth questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
So just a quick question. So from the replication area that you looked for but you could not find because it doesn't exist, what size of area roughly are you talking about? A couple hundred
Yeah,
square
so
feet? I mean,
I think we had originally were proposing to fill about 308 square feet, or to encroach 308 square feet into the 25-foot. So we found that this cart path that you see right here that's unvegetated actually was 617 square feet.
Okay.
So it was exactly 2-to-1. With the new delineation changes, we have about 770 square feet into the 25. So we were looking for a 2-to-1 somewhere in the 1,400 square foot range. Unfortunately, we walked the entire section of the property looking for anything else that was compacted, anywhere where there was invasive species. So there just was nothing else on the lot. So we're proposing about 617 still.
Okay, so you're basically down roughly 700 square feet, roughly.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Basically
got it,
about
got
half
it,
what we
got
were
it.
trying to find out there.
Yeah, understood, okay, got it, okay. Any other questions?
You lost me on one point. Where on your plan is the replacement for the vernal pool?
So isolated wetland actually does not function as a vernal pool. We took a look at it. It's just it's a bylaw isolated wetland. You usually see some water towards the surface. But to answer your question, it was so the wetland itself is here, and then the hashed out mark that you see here is the 2-to-1 replication area, and the green you see here is the existing BBW. So it was designed to tie directly into the existing BBW.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Just what's the square footage of the IBW that's being filled?
It's 1,647 square feet. So the replication area is 3,294.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Just a question on the plantings in that replication area. I noticed there's some elms in there. Are they going to are they the new improved version? Because like the old elms died out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if the commission has any concerns with elms, we can always do species substitutions. There were some elms located around the area, in this area, so we were trying to replicate as close as possible. If there are concerns over elms, I'm more than happy to substitute a planting, or we can make sure that we're getting exactly what you want in there.
No, I'll
Yeah.
defer to our agent, but I just know that like elms and.
Just if I may, break it, is there an issue with elms in this particular area?
Dutch elm, Dutch elm disease is,
okay.
that's what Michael's, I'm presuming, mentioning, and
I
then
see.
there are cross hybrid species, so it's
Oh.
a native cultivar.
I see, okay.
Yep.
So fine as long as you use the hybrid because then they're resistant, right? Okay, I see.
Yeah, and that can be conditioned in. The other thing is with our application plans is we always have a 2-year monitoring period where we inspect the plantings. So if we were to find that they weren't taken to the area, they would be replaced.
Okay. Understood.
So sorry if I may interject
Yeah.
real quick, it's deferred to the commission then if you want it 100% in kind, if you will accept a native cultivar, or if you would be amenable to a different native tree that perhaps is not susceptible to pest and disease.
Well, the objective is to make it,
Just be in kind.
the objective is to have it grow. So yes, of course. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I would think that we want it to grow. We don't want to put something we have that might be.
So you
right,
have some
so-
different, native cultivar or a different plant that serves the same function and value.
Right.
Yep.
Right, exactly, yeah. I mean, that's the whole objective, right? So, of course.
It's our goal as well, absolutely.
Right, of
So
course.
We'll work with you
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah, okay, all right. Anything else, anyone? No?
Thanks.
Is there anyone in the audience or anyone online that has a question? Preeti, you don't have anything else, do you?
No, I'm set for now.
Okay, so I think that with that, then I guess I'll take a motion to continue 0 Upper Union Street Solar to December 14th at 7:03 PM.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 0 Upper Union Street Solar to September 14th at 7:03 PM.
Second that.
Okay.
Vote to continue.
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 Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Okay. 0 Upper Union Street, Upper Street Solar, sorry, is continued to December 14th at 7:03 PM. Good luck with the planning board.
Thank you, guys. We
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the update, that was great. That was very helpful. Okay, I'd like to open up the ANRAD for 124, 126 Grove Street. And I see also we have a recommendation to continue as well, correct?
Yes. If I may, real quick, also address previous projects in front of us and then this project now.
Yes.
So we are still waiting on revised plans for 124, 126 Grove Street. Considering our 2023 schedule and looking ahead, I've recommended to this applicant that all new information needs to be submitted prior to December 7th. So we
Okay.
are falling back to that week lead time that we have to following meetings.
Right.
But it also has to be reviewed. So that December 7th is really December 4th.
Right,
So Beta and I
right.
can review it. And that is, so I can also have a complete agent report for you guys prior to December 14th.
Okay, all right. Thank you,
Yep.
noted. Is there anyone online who is present for 124, 126 Grove Street? Wants to make a comment? Does anyone have questions? No? No? Okay. With that, I'll take a motion to continue the ANRAD for 124, 126 Grove Street to December 14th at 7:04 PM.
We're
Okay.
going to 14.
I'm sorry, the 14th, sorry, which one is it?
It's December 14th.
December 14th,
Yep.
right?
Yep, I'll give you a motion to continue the ANRAD for 124, 126 Grove Street to December 14th at 7:04 PM.
Second?
Okay.
Vote to continue.
Continue. Continue.
Continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Thank you. The ANRAD for 124, 126 Grove Street is continued to December 14th, 7:04 PM.
I recuse myself here.
Okay, thank you. Let the record show that Megan is recusing herself from the next meeting. I'd like to open up the ANRAD for the Tri-County Regional Vocational and Technical High School. I see here there's a note, also continue to December 14th?
Yes, so we just received revised information from the applicant on November 27th.
Okay.
Monday, and then Beta is yet to provide an amended scope and fee to continue the review, the newly submitted revised information. Additionally, because it was within that week lead time, I have not yet
Okay.
dug into that revised information. So.
Okay. Is there anyone here from Tri-County that wants to make any presentation?
We do. Can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, we can, yes.
All right. How are you? My name's Steve Powers. I am with Semiotis Consultants. We are the civil engineer for the project as well as the agent for the applicant. I am online with Brad Holmes from ECR. He is our environmental consultant. So Bricolage is correct. We have not received a response back from Beta on our response to their initial peer review. So I figured it'd be helpful to the commission to give a brief summary of where we are and a couple of the items that we have discussed and met with on site. So we initially submitted the ANRAD on September 8th, 2023. I was in front of you on the 21st at one of the hearings to continue it. And since then, we've had a peer review letter from Beta. We've had a site walk with the project team and Bricolage and members from Beta. And we've submitted our response to their peer review as previously noted by Bricolage. If I could share my screen, I could just kind of walk the commission through the plan, refresh their memory. Is that all right? All right.
Okay, you can share, I think, Yes.
Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, we see it, yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. All right, excellent. So, as previously stated, Brad Holmes from ECR, he flagged a number of different areas of the site, a couple for IVW and a few more for BBW, starting in the north. So first of all, just to orient the commission, in the middle of the site is the Tri-County Regional High School. Old West Central Street is to the south, and then Pond Street runs along the western property line. So to start in the northwest, we do have a G-Series with IVW that was flagged, BBW for the F-Series, immediately across the driveway to the south, and then the four main BBWs that were identified by ECR as part of the initial, his initial investigation, and BBW B-Series, A-Series, and D-Series, and then an IVW C-Series, which is on the western side of the driveway and actually runs off the property to the west. Since then, as I mentioned, we have we received Beta's peer review. We did walk the site. There were a couple of other areas identified as having wetlands characteristics by Beta as part of their initial investigation. We did walk those areas with them. A couple of those areas were in the area of the solar farm, in these two areas here, and then some other areas in between the solar panels. I think that comment by Beta, we did respond to it. There was it was item 10 in the peer review. There were 4 parts to it, so we responded to each one. And as part of our peer review response, we did resubmit previous stormwater management plans, because that was a question that Beta did bring up, rightfully so, as part of our site walk and in the peer review, to kind of show, that some of these areas were intended, at least as part of the design and the original approvals through the planning board, to be low-impact stormwater management features. So they did request additional backup. So there was a stormwater management plan that we did submit that was part of the approved plan set. We dug up from the planning board that do show drainage ditches, called out as drainage ditches, in between the solar arrays, all the way up and down the site. The 2 areas that were carved out as sort of these low-impact retention basins, stormwater basins, were indeed shown and were factored into a stormwater report by, I believe it was Strong Engineering, and this again was part of the original approval and submittal from the planning board. So I'm sure they're reviewing those items as backup. We did supply those and feel pretty confident that those areas were intended to be stormwater management features. One other small area, and I can let Brad elaborate on this. He talked extensively with Beta when we were out on the site walk. Was the potential of this depression here being a wetland. I'll let Brad speak to it and his discussion with Beta while we were out there. But one of the items that they did request is to confirm, where the stormwater feature, if there was drainage coming to it. This is a survey that was done by our office, actually, too, with a project surveyor, Semiotis Consultants. There is an invert with an outlet pipe, and based on the review of on-site materials and on-site structures, we did find a combination of existing structures that were part of the original approved plans, and then some structures that weren't necessarily part of the approved plans. And by approved, I mean back in 1970 when the school was initially built. So one of the hydraulic connections that we do have is this catch basin picking up parking lot area, drainage flow connecting and conveying water, stormwater down, and then outletting it down into this area. So that is one portion of it. And Brad, do you want to just touch briefly on your discussion with Beta?
Sure. Good evening, members of the commission. Brad Holmes with ECR, professional wetland scientist, Massachusetts certified arborist. We were able to go down and look at the area There was a concern by Beta initially that there was some wetland vegetation in the area, and what is the source of the water coming into that area? The area is less than 50% wetland vegetation as a whole, and they asked for us to confirm that the water that's coming out of the pipe is a result of stormwater and not the result of an upgrading of wetland resource area. So as Steve has described to the commission, that source is stormwater. The site has a series of stormwater runoff canals to drain water from the school, and that is a pipe source of stormwater that discharges at that location. So we did provide them with that information so that we confirm that it's not a bordering vegetative wetland. And we did discuss that in the field, and our assessment was that if we can show that that is stormwater and not an upgraded wetland resource area, they were in agreement that it's not a resource.
Okay.
Haven't obviously received that in writing, but that's what we discussed on site pertaining to that area. And what Steve discussed as an overall assessment of the site is that there are bordering and isolated vegetated wetlands on the site, but the majority of the site as you move either right of the screen or to the east is stormwater related. So that'll back.
And I guess just to end before certainly opening up to the commission for comments, the rest of the comments from Beta were easily responded to. We had no issue moving a couple of the flags in the C series, as well as was it the B series? Brad, was that the other one?
We moved one flag in the B series. We moved 3 flags in the C series. And I think those have been reflected on the revised plan and the information that was submitted. We were in agreement with those changes on site during our site plan. During our site meeting.
Sure. So just to correct Brad, I don't think he's aware of this. Mr. Chairman, we're holding off on relocating or locating those flags via field survey. We are prepared to do that as soon as we nail down all of the resource areas on site. We want to go out there once,
Right.
and then address a couple of the plan comments that Beta had, which are very easily addressed, and then submit a final plan to the commission for review and approval.
Great. Okay. Any questions? Does anyone have any questions?
No, good update.
Just I have one question about, is that, the pipe that you had mentioned, is that pipe possibly one of the structures that was not on the original plan, the 1970s original plan? Was that something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep, that's a great point. I do have one of the older plans, if you wanted to see that at this time, or I can certainly bring it up at a later one, where it does identify catch basins on the plan, but it also indicates a paved ditch that was to the southeast of the parking area.
Okay.
That conveyed water too, and I still believe some of that water is conveyed on that side as well.
I see. Okay. Okay. I mean, it would have made sense that basically somebody saw, if someone after the original building was done, saw water build up, they would have tried to fix it in some way, not maybe necessarily going through that legitimate process to get to make amendments.
Yeah.
Right. I understand that. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
the 70s, right? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
sure. And I think the other part is it's possible that, as-built are sort of a requirement now for projects, and back then they weren't. So it might have actually been
Right.
done during construction, and it's just not captured on that.
Right. Pretty good. Do you have anything?
And actually, I
Oh,
mean,
sorry.
quickly, I think that location, that's somewhat of an access way to get to the east. So they may have filled over the ditch with the pipe so that they'd have access.
Yeah.
So.
Makes sense. Yeah. Pretty good.
Yes. So if I may, since this is essentially my verbal review of everything that was submitted
Sure,
on
sure,
Monday,
sure,
I just
sure.
have a few questions. As bringing the commission back to previous meetings, we had discussed for sure IVWs within the solar field, the solar array, potential BVWs. So Stephen and Brad and then the commission, I just noticed that they're not approximated on this plan. So the jurisdictional status of those resource areas and the solar field still need to be determined. Regardless, field conditions showed between both myself and John Nero from Beta that they are IVW. They do meet all indicator status of wetlands. They are jurisdictional under local bylaw, determining stormwater infrastructure, which is what Brad and Stephen has talked about in these past few minutes, will determine if those are BVW or not. So those still need to be determined or shown and approximated on that plan. Additionally, the southernmost BVW is considered a lowercase potential vernal pool. So biologists at Beta have reviewed insect carcasses. There were frog calls out there. It fits the geomorphic position of being a vernal pool. So that as well will need to be approximated and called out on that plan.
And that's the indentation we're talking about?
Yep, on the yep. So additionally, and when I brought that up at tech review, that it was clear as day on the aerials. So that's been pretty consistent. Speaking on the stormwater features, when I put quotations around that in the solar array, I have done some digging on the town side that solar array is actually still open. It's not finalized or complete with a complete site plan with planning board. So, which is potentially why it may be difficult to find stormwater information on the infrastructure on that solar array.
Yeah.
It's also probably why they're not functioning as stormwater features and now are jurisdictional wetlands. To that point, Brad, I know you mentioned that they likely weren't there before the solar array, but given the nature of the previously permitted project and the time that it was and staffing, I will put on record that I'm not 100% certain that those wetlands were not there at that time as well. It's difficult to see with leaf cover on aerials. To that point, easily to engineer around, Stephen, we talked about this, on our site visit. This is just an ANRAD process. So these are just little boxes to tick so Tri-County can keep moving along in their permitting process.
Right, understood. Any further questions? Does anybody in the audience here or online have any questions about this project?
Elise Tripp from Beta. I just wanted to, for the record, correct something that was mentioned earlier. So Beta is still underway with the peer review. We have started doing the second review. We do have the funding, though. I think that was something that we weren't sure about previously, but we do have the funding to continue with the review.
Okay.
So we're just finishing it up. So I
Okay.
just wanted to correct that for the record.
Thanks,
Excellent.
Elise.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. Anything else? No? No, I'll take a motion to continue Tri-County Regional to December 14th at 7:05 PM.
I'll give you a motion to continue the ANRAD for Tri-County Regional Vocational Technical High School till December 14th, 7:05.
Second.
Okay.
Vote to continue.
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 Continue?
Continue.
Okay, thank you. The ANRAD for Tri-County Regional Vocational Technical High School is continued to December 14th at 7:05 PM. And if someone could let
Thank
Megan
you.
know, she can come back in.
Thank you, members of the commission. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very
Thank you
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
You really should have music, that goes like. Okay. Anyway. All right. Now I'd like to open up the NOI for 0 Bent Street. And I also see here again a recommendation to continue.
Yes, so on behalf of the commission, I did recommend that the applicant or representative attend, considering the past 2 meetings we have not had representation. So Chris Lucas is online with us tonight to provide an update. I did receive a phone call in the past 2 weeks from the applicant, Stephen Keller. He had some questions about perhaps modifying some of Beta or I's recommendations, which I hope Chris Lucas can speak to in just a moment here, but I suggested that conversation be held in front of you, so.
Okay. Chris?
I was not, for the record, my name is Chris Lucas, Lucas Environmental. I was not aware Mr. Keller had spoken to Bricolai about any revisions to the beta peer review. My understanding is he's working with Proterra Design Group as most of the issues are related to stormwater and the survey of the 1-inch trees. Survey is underway now. His plan is to submit a response to the board by December 7th, which is the posted deadline for new information for the December 14th hearing. So
Okay.
I'm here tonight at the request of the agent just to provide that short update, and we'd like to request a continuance to the 14th.
Okay. This is the 7th, not the 4th, right?
Well, 7th is for all new submission,
All new
all new
submission.
information from beta and applicants. So
Okay.
Chris, it behooves him, I should say, to get information in sooner than that.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, the commission does have a week lead time. That has been around since before I started. I've been a little bit more amenable to being flexible with that, but given the holidays and upcoming schedule, I'd like to make sure we can all take a break for the holidays.
Right. So we're
I'm
shooting.
sorry,
Yeah.
what date would you want that by then? What's the date?
So December 7th is the date for all new submissions, so if you could get it tomorrow, that's even better. It's getting information in enough time to allow beta to review it and myself to review it in enough time.
All right, it probably will not be before the 7th because they're still surveying the trees, so if it can't be reviewed, we can request another continuance, but I'll let Mr. Keller know, but I don't anticipate it being in tomorrow or even early next week. It'll probably be towards the end of the week.
Okay. All right.
Any input on the recommendations he's looking to have changed?
So the recommendations that he wanted, he did not want to survey as many trees and that Beta and I were recommending. So he was asking instead of 1-inch DBH diameter at breast height trees, he was asking for 6-inch, which is a substantial increase. He did explain or provide more information on why he's in the 25-foot no touch, and it really is neighbor relations. He did not want to shift the driveway closer to the abutting property. The last thing that he had mentioned was planting arborvitaes along that drive for screening. We all know I am not a big fan of that. So I did just suggest he actually come back and talk to Chris Lucas for a plant list to present to you, something with, habitat, forage, all those things that we're a fan of. So those are the top 3 things. But most of it, I told him he needed to come in front of you to discuss, not doing things or doing things and the direction to go.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
Right, and he
No
intends to be here.
arborvitaes.
The next hearing to
No
discuss.
arborvitaes.
No, trash
Okay.
tree.
Sorry, Chris, you were going to say something? Chris?
Yeah, Mr. Keller had planned on being at the next meeting to discuss. We were here tonight just at the request of the agent to provide an update.
Right. And thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Yep.
Okay. Any other further questions? Is there anyone online or anyone in the audience that has any questions about this project? Okay, there being none, I'll take a motion to continue.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 0 Bent Street to December 14th at 7:06 PM.
Second that.
Vote to continue.
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 Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Okay. The NOI
Thank
for
you.
0 Bent Street is continued to December 14th at 7:06 PM.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
I open up the meeting for the NOI for 100 Populatic Street. Okay.
All right. So, as of today, we have received a DEP file number. DEP had 3 comments. They wanted the area of invasive species removal more explicitly called out on the plan. They wanted the applicant to add the approximated value of flood storage on the WPA form. And then they just wanted the applicant to confirm that riverfront area is not within this area, on this project site. So commissioners, when a river empties into a pond or broadens into a pond, flows through a pond, riverfront area is only available a certain distance from that culvert. from that delta, from that headwater area. So the applicant just had to prove that the property was in the middle of the pond and not within those areas. So it's 200 feet.
Right.
So they did that. They scrambled today and they provided all revised information to those 3 comments. So I would recommend approval with condition.
Okay. And the conditions are all the special conditions that are here on the
Yes.
bottom? Okay.
Yep. And I did send them to Chris already.
Okay, okay. Right, well, before we do this, are there any questions about this project anyone has? Are there any questions in the audience or anyone here online? Okay. So I'll take a motion to approve the NOI for 100 Populatic Street with conditions as noted in the record.
Do you want me to read in those condition
Yeah,
numbers?
go ahead.
Okay. I will give you a motion to approve the NOI for 100 Populatic Street with standard special conditions 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 43, 44, 46, 47, 48, and 50.
Okay.
Second.
A second? Okay.
Vote to
Approve?
approve.
Vote to approve.
Approve.
Vote to approve?
Vote to approve.
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 Okay, thank you very much. The NOI for 100 Populatic Street is approved with the conditions.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Okay, so that is all for this. I don't have an agenda in front of me. Okay, so all we have is minutes and the purchase approval, correct? Yes, okay. I have read the minutes and I don't have any changes. Does anyone have any changes to the minutes?
Did not.
I don't have any.
No?
No.
No, okay. If not, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes for November 16th, 2023.
Give you a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting on November 16th, 2023.
Second.
Okay,
Vote to approve.
Approve. Approve.
approve?
Vote to approve.
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 Minutes for November 16th, 2023 are approved. Now we have a discussion item, purchase approval for a backyard ecosystem education program, the BEE program.
The B.
Okay. So this is a purchase approval, but since we actually have some time tonight, I'd like to present this new program, talk about it a little bit, talk about how it's funded, and talk about perhaps the future outlook for the BEE program. So this is a backyard ecosystem program in 2024. It's behind you, Richard. And so BEE, aptly named, BEE program. But it's not just about bees. It is essentially training residents of Franklin on how to design native habitat, or at least wildlife-friendly, plant-friendly, soil-friendly. Sky's the limit, right? It's an entire ecosystem, so improve one aspect of it, you improve the other. But designing their own backyard habitats. So it's a series of 5 workshops and 1 field day, where residents will be trained by professional practitioners on how to attract wildlife and plant life to their habitat, or at least install it. Support their habitat through climate change and other ecological stressors, such as drought. Plan and design their backyard habitat. So one of these workshops is actually sitting down in small groups with these professional practitioners and designing your habitat. So it's free consult. And then they'll be considered a backyard ecosystem advocate. This is just a title that I have created. However, for all participants that complete the course in its entirety, there is funding to actually certify their backyard habitats with the National Wildlife Federation, provided they meet certain qualifications. So there has to be water, there has to be food and forage, there has to be cover, there has to be nesting material throughout all seasons. So this program is open to 40 participants, 30 of which are Franklin residents, 5 which are town staff that are residents. I did it that way since most of town staff know this is coming, and I didn't want them to take the spot of everybody else. And Franklin Public Schools will be excusing 5 students to join as well. We're gearing it first to STEM students, but really anybody is, able to attend. So this is scheduled for next year, but given my upcoming leave and that this is quite a big overhaul, I'm planning for it now. So it's every Wednesday in the month of April. So we'll be having Earth Month. If you recall, we talked about that earlier this past year,
Right.
having Earth Month. And then May Day is the planning and design workshop, and then May 10th, Friday, is the field day and graduation luncheon. So registration opens in January, so this is my official plug. Another announcement will come out with the QR code and a bit.ly. While I'm out, other town staff will be posting flyers around town. I don't want to take Michael's spot here with the liaison update, but someone from Friends of Franklin Conservation will also be our social media person. So they'll be posting, hopefully, everywhere about this program. So funding for this program right now is coming through the Working Forest Initiative. So Mike Downey, he has some extra funding in his budget, and he'd like to give it to Franklin. It is a 75-25 match, though. So originally, when he and I were talking, we both thought it was going to be a 100% cover. It's not, which is fine. So my original number, and I'm more saying this for Chair Livingstone and Vice Chair Hagan here, was $14,665. That is not how much it costs. Just give me one time. Just bear with me for a moment.
Sure.
That included town staff time
Sure.
that went into building this. That is not money that I pocket. That is money that goes in a separate fund that I have from grants. So if you recall from the open space plan, I had monthly luncheons with town staff. That was through a grant. There was extra money in that. That just went in this fund. From the workshop that I hosted, Converse and Conserve, there's extra money from that. That just went into this budget item. So that's where this town staff would go into. Considering it's 75-25, that's out the window. So I put in $3,000 for town staff time. So, but then that would bring us down to $11,665. So at a 25 match rate, it's $2,916.15 something.
$1,525.
So I'd likely just request $3,000 and just round it up.
Yep. Okay.
Anything that's not used is just going to stay in the wetlands fund. It won't be shifted to this other line item.
Right.
So I actually don't have it posted here, but I can run through where that money's going to. So the 2 most expensive line items is for the bus rental for the field day. That's $1,500. Because the field day runs from 10 to 2, we can't use the school bus.
Right.
So we had to get a big bus. So that's $1,500. And then the certification with the National Wildlife Federation, it's $119 per person to give them the best lawn plaque available.
Okay.
Certification with just a piece of paper is $20. With a highly graphicked metal or aluminum rectangle sign, I think is $50. $119 is with a nice dark green gold embossed like plaque you would see at a garden or a botanical hill, at the bottom where it would say dedicated to XYZ. So that likely, I don't know how many people that complete the program will qualify for certification as well. So there's probably a give and take with that certification money as well. Food, I think I did about $1,500 for food because again, it was Mike Downey's budget. So I just was doing that. Outreach materials, honorarium. So The people that presenters I should say, that are not town staff or state staff, they can receive an honorarium. So for example, the president of the New England Wild Chapter for the Wildlife Society will be presenting, so he would get an honorarium. And then there is a resident honorarium for the tour. So for participants in this program, it's great in my brain to have exposure to professional practitioners. It's great to work amongst your peers. It's great to work amongst, you know, a diverse group of people from students all the way up to retirees. To that point, I also wanted them to see their peers in action. You know, for this tour, we're taking them around to town-supported projects, and it's a little bit, it's a different ballgame. So starting February, there will be a RFP, a request for proposal, going out for residents that have native gardens or pollinator-friendly gardens, so just non-natives or non-aggressives, or a managed forest, a forest with a cutting plan, an established rain garden. Rain gardens are habitat. A wetland restoration or anything like that, they can apply to be a stop on the tour. And then they get an honorarium for their time and participation.
I hope there will be a line item for do not spray your mosquitoes and kill all the bloody bees.
I know. You gotta put your house on the no-fly list. I'll send you the link. We have, you know, drift, but hey, it makes me feel better. Do that.
I don't spray, but my neighbors do, and
I know.
Are there any towns that you know of that have done something similar to this?
So Natick, Mike Downey lives in Natick, and he's also on their Concom.
Okay.
So he tried to get it going in Natick, and he told me it flopped. They're not in Framingham. There's one other town. John knows the agent. He has a native garden program as well, but nothing to this scale is in Massachusetts. I have already submitted a proposal for MAC for the conference next year to show it. This is our first, this will be our first year, so we'll see how it turns out. But looking ahead, I'd really like to offer this, if not annually, because it is quite an overhaul here, but every other year. I think it would be pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, Natick is radically different than Franklin.
Natick is very different than Franklin.
Radically different.
Yes.
Culturally and geologically and everything, yes, completely different. Not even, totally not even the same. Not even close. Okay.
So this is right on our webpage. Why is this important? Not only from a grassroots scale and, you know, getting more habitat out there and more wildlife corridors, but on a technical scale, this does meet one goal and one objective for the 2023 OSRP. Additionally, I would be creating an iNaturalist project just for this cohort to be able to start documenting what they're seeing in these habitats so we can measure the success of this program with qualitative data. And then I'm really hoping we can get residents that live in our priority habitats, so the habitats listed with endangered species, threatened and endangered or special concern species, to join this program, because then we can start creating a buffer and building that out.
Okay.
I think this is excellent. I'm very excited.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
give
Awesome
it a
work.
go.
Ryan.
Like it.
Rick, is this something that, like, town-owned land, could that also be developed in the same
Yeah,
way?
so that's
That'd
a
be a
really
good
good
idea.
question. So I've been toying around with the idea. Really want to open it to anybody. So whether you're a renter and an owner, if you're in an apartment, HOA, what have you, if you're a business owner in Franklin. And then I was thinking, well, if someone lives in an apartment, what can they do? And we could talk a little bit about you know, container gardening. You can still support, you can still create food and nectar and pollen sources, you know, along the way in apartment balconies. But then I started ruminating on the idea of if someone from an apartment complex or someone that can't design on their own space still wants to join this program and is still such a great advocate and wants to do that, we could do it at our conservation areas. I'm not hesitant about that. I was thinking, should I start with conservation areas, because that just seems the easiest route, but I was also thinking, well, what if I could get the police station involved? What if I could get the library involved? What if I could get the senior center involved? And then we could just start having these little pockets around town. And then I thought for those that don't have their own property, we could just name it after them. They may not get the certification, because the certification stays with the habitat,
Right.
but maybe the satisfaction of just doing it and then us supporting them on it is enough.
Library would be good because they have all kinds of programs for kids of various ages right there. You could slip a little hour window into the
Yeah.
library.
Exactly.
That'd be cool.
Thank
That
you.
would be cool. So if more than 40 are interested, how will the 40 be chosen?
Oh, yeah.
So it's first come, first serve for registration. Registration, is open 2 months until I get that 40. Again, it's 30 residents, 5 staff, 5 students. If we have less than 30 people register, which I don't think we will, you know, I can pull for those other hats. To that point, the tour is open for anybody, but the bus is only exclusive to participants. Everything will be recorded and available for viewing afterwards. So for accessibility, it is online on Zoom. I'm not going to kick anybody out. Certification is only for participants. To the point, I'm not going to kick anybody out. I wouldn't do that. But because of the design aspect of this program, I think there is high merit in having this one-on-one dialogue or 40-on-1 dialogue with the presenters. And hopefully we will offer this, you know, in next year's, and because of the Zoom recordings, I would just politely ask people if they can't commit to the participation, or, you know, if they don't get in right now or register right away, maybe we allow others.
Will you take a list for next year, for the following year, or the following every other year?
That's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that. There will be a wait list available too. And in my registration, I have it in bold, like this is a time commitment. If you cannot set time aside or take work off to do this, which I understand, please leave your seat for somebody else that can. And perhaps, you know, I'm stimulated now and going off of your suggestion. You know, perhaps it's also worth asking the list or the people that didn't get in what schedule works best for them.
Yep.
You know, it would be, we could offer it more than once a year, but I would say then we wouldn't get as many presenters or the same presenters. So
Right.
I'll be there, you know.
No, you're right. Yep.
You know, Kate will be there, Derek will be there, Mike Downey will be there, but I don't know if we would get the president of the Wildlife Society or the state endangered species biologist every single time.
Yeah.
So, it is by no means meant to be exclusive, it's meant to be constructive. So,
Yeah, I think
We'll try it out and see how it works, and then we'll,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be interesting. I think it's gonna be really popular.
if
I think
it's
it'll be
a
really
success,
popular.
we'll just
So,
build on it from there.
I think you're gonna be overwhelmed with people wanting to do it, frankly.
I think we will too.
Yeah.
Which is why I also want to push out like the Zoom calls, like, or the recordings. The recordings will be available afterwards.
Right.
So,
Right.
like, there's no fear of missing out for not attending in April.
And I think if it is that popular, we have that many people interested, then we look at maybe doing it on an annual
Absolutely.
basis instead of biannual, so.
Good
Yeah,
problem to have.
absolutely.
Yeah, it is a good problem to have.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's that.
So what we need now is the approval for the 3,000, right? Okay. So, does anyone want to make a proposal for a $3,000 purchase approval for the Backyard Ecosystem Education, the B program?
Yeah, I'll give you a motion to have a purchase approval for the amount of $3,000 for the Backyard Ecosystem Education Program.
Second.
Okay.
Vote to approve.
Vote to approve. Approve.
Approve.
Vote to approve.
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 Okay. But you have budgets, and thank you very much. And
Thank you.
this is going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay, and then we have a couple updates. So who's doing the Friends of Franklin update? Yes?
So, our lead, Pat Gallagher, has organized our first meeting, which is going to be Monday, 4 December at 9:30. It's going to be here in room 205. Is there going to be a Zoom option, Bricolage?
He hasn't gotten back to me if
Yeah, I hadn't
there's
seen
a Zoom
anything.
option.
You said, what time was that, you said?
9:30 a.m.?
9:30, this is December
4th?
4th.
Yes.
Monday.
Monday.
Yep, so it's an organizational meeting, meet and greet, and talk about what our priorities are.
Okay.
Anything you wanted to add, Bricolage?
I need a media person.
Media person.
Yeah.
And then if there's nothing else, then the second thing on the list is the master plan liaison update.
Yeah, so we had our master plan meeting last night and our subcommittee meeting the night before. We've at this point gone through our objectives for the natural, cultural, and historic resources, which is excellent. So we have that updated as far as what we think we need to keep in going forward, and a few things that we're going to add for those objectives. From here, we are going to be planning out, we have a whole inventory that we got from Beta and Barrett that we're going through to make sure it's accurate and up to date, which will go into the actual documentation portion of the master plan. From here, we will be doing our public outreach, so that's our next subcommittee meeting, is doing our plan for the public outreach. We'll have full public hearings, 3 of them for the entire master plan, and then we'll have 2 individual subcommittee public hearings on, which will be much more informal, just getting together on open space and natural, cultural, and historic resources. So we're going to get those on the calendar for February and March, and our timeline overall is now looking like we should have a presentation to town council for September, once we get through the whole process. So we'll have public outreach going over the goals and objectives that we've just reset, and then we'll actually start working on what that implementation process looks like. So it's a bit of a big picture of, this is our inventory, this is what it looks like, these are our goals and objectives that we want to hit over the next 10 years, and then we set that, how are we actually getting there. One exciting thing that I think, are you okay with me sharing? That came up in conversation that we've actually added as a new objective is actually creating a actual conservation department. We felt as a group that with the amount of additional open space that we have and the workload within conservation right now, that looking at adding an actual department led by, Bricolage, with, potentially starting with maybe a part-time assistant agent. We need to look at what the actual details will look like, but actually having a bit more manpower to do what we would like to do in Franklin. We think we need a full department for that, so we would like to start building that over.
What's the process for creating? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so it's, it was a kind of top-line discussion right now, but it sounds like the start of it is A, getting everyone on board for it, and B, just basically creating a new line item in the budget for that. So it has to go obviously through Jamie and town council, but in my subcommittee are 2 of the town council people who feel very passionate that this would be an easy sell for everybody. So that was an exciting.
That's a cool idea.
One thing that you would want to make sure you didn't do was
Yes.
to turn it into some kind of policing
Yes.
operation.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we
Like you're
just
gonna-
got away from. We just.
Like you're gonna go around and look
No,
at
no, no.
people's backyards or
No.
something. Say,
No,
"No,
that's-
So kind
That
of what we
was
talked
all-
about,
that will go nowhere."
you know, part of it is, you know, if we start with something like a part-time assistant agent, it's someone to help with the paperwork and administration sort of stuff with Bricolage in the background, and then maybe even potentially looking at some, like grant writing support, you know, someone who's actually helping to research and find additional grants to help find additional funding, because one only has so much time in the day. So whether, you know, maybe we look at the town in the long run getting, you know, a part-time grant writer, or whether that can be, you know, something an assistant, you know, administrator can help sort of looking at funding options, to take something off Bricolage's plate. You know, long-term, you know, maybe looking at something like a land steward position to help manage the new properties that we have that are obviously massive, that are gonna take more than one person to look
Should
after.
be a resource,
Yes,
Yeah.
town resource.
Yes.
No, we agree.
Absolutely.
We totally agree. Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
so I don't think, yeah,
Yeah.
being out and, driving around looking for, you know, people making, I don't think that's anything that
Well-
we would even have.
won't change, Richard.
Huh?
My job duties won't change. I already don't do that now.
No,
Should be
no,
allowed to carry a weapon, Richard.
no, you guys.
No, it should be allowed to carry.
You guys have heard me tell you stories about how it was when I first got here.
Yeah.
Boy, we are not going back to that. That was just abysmal. That was
That's not-
horrific.
that's
Yeah,
not good.
no,
Yeah.
no.
So that was exciting. The other thing that came up, which was interesting, is I know we've, you know, through a few of our projects, talked a bit about solar and what we, you know, the battles that we sort of look at, and, you know, whether or not we can throw in create a tree bylaw somewhere here, but also, you know, the state regulations around solar and what restrictions we have to be able to really say no to solar projects. And so we started talking about the MAC training that I did and how one of the towns had it in their, which board?
Planning.
Planning,
Because
thank
it's
you.
zoning.
Yep, it was the planning and zoning. They had some zoning bylaws around solar. So Glenn and Mel felt pretty positive about, even though there are state restrictions, that we should implement something locally. So they want to start, we're not sure where they're putting that and whether that will be under an open space, you know, goal and objective for the next 10 years, or if that will be under zoning. But they want to start looking at putting something in our goals and objectives for looking at planning for
Yeah.
solar within Franklin.
So you did some kind of tree preservation
Yeah.
restriction. You could target, that could be targeted at solar.
Yeah,
It's kind of interesting. And you do see, I mean, right, we talked about it.
yeah,
You know, some toss-up benefits there.
Absolutely.
As you're taking down trees.
yeah.
Well,
And I think it has to be a balance of, you know,
Yeah.
finding other resources in other areas where solar companies can come in and have projects,
Yeah.
so that we're not restricting them from
Building.
building in town, but it's
Right.
doing it in a way that we feel is environmentally sound for our town.
Right, and if you might remember, just to repeat, at the last MAC meeting, right, there were a couple of pretty significant sessions on, you know, solar impacts, regulations, and the take-home message was, it's all over the place. The regs are sparse, they're all over
Yeah.
the place, there's no consistency whatsoever. It's pretty much every man for himself when it comes to the towns. And basically, until that is settled at the state level, it's pretty much, you know, you're on your own.
Up to us.
Yeah, it's totally up to the towns, so, which is unfortunate, because it doesn't, and people are complaining, there's no support for us, right?
Yeah.
We can't fall back on anything, we
Yeah.
can't point to anything, so we get beaten up by the big contractors, right? And that was a pervasive view, to be very honest, so.
So, I am not advocating for one side or the other. I just spend a copious amount of time with Attorney Sorrell, and we have talked about this before. So, the protection, there's a Waltham case that everybody in land court site, and I don't know what it is. He just keeps saying the Waltham case, like I should know.
Classic, classic. Oh,
Which
yeah.
is probably how I talk to people about wetlands. But there's a Waltham case where they denied solar, but the town didn't have it zoned by right in enough locations. So that's why it's a zoning change, because towns need to demonstrate, similar to affordable housing, hey, we have this already. Hey, you need to go here. We have it zoned by right over here. So the towns that have that zoned by right have more qualms to have additional protection.
I see.
So we have talked about it as staff at tech review already, and we're trying to find clever ways to appease everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched your meeting the other night, Meg, it was very positive.
It was an interesting
Yeah.
meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a good group of like, yeah,
Yeah.
exciting conversations, so. So that's it for master plan. Can I ask for one other?
Please.
Quick question on that?
Yes.
Is the state still reviewing our OSRP?
Oh, they sure are. So,
Not the state.
yes, no, sorry.
It's okay. MAPC, we're still waiting on MAPC. They're the Regional Planning Council to get their review letter. So I haven't yet submitted it to the state. I've received DCR feedback, the required peer review letter, but I haven't submitted to EEA now, I think, actually,
So it
Energy
may
and
be the
Environmental Affairs.
2024 open space
So,
and recreation plan.
Yeah, so I've been bugging MAPC, and I will not, next Friday is my last day.
Yeah.
So I will
Yeah.
not get to it. So once I have that peer review letter, I will make all the changes and then submit it to the state.
Thanks.
Yep.
Another thing I forgot to ask to have on the agenda, but I'm just gonna throw it out there now. Breeglide sent me a publication
Thank
for Green Teacher, and it's a really cool publication with a lot of different educational content. A lot of it geared at like activities for kids, and I'm wondering if we would be interested in approving a really big spend of $25 annually to get an account for the Conservation Commission to then have access to all this content so that we can actually, we were talking about doing at least bi-monthly educational activities, and we could pull
Oh, yeah.
things from them, so
That's a great idea.
if you would be okay with our $25
Yeah.
annual.
I'll give a motion to approve $25 for the program as stated.
Can you just remind
Second
me
it.
to do
Okay,
that
second.
tomorrow?
Okay.
Approve.
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 Approved.
Approve.
Approve.
Approved.
Yay. Thank you all.
Thank you. Anything else, guys? No?
That's it for me.
Okay. With
Anything
that,
from the audience? I don't know, we have people-
anything from the audience? No? Anything? No? No?
You were here on the right night.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it'll go live, so you should get it, are you on the emails for Franklin?
Actually, I did have a question. Have you considered, or have you talked to like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, because they're really, involved in conservation and environment and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I have a list, just same with Ryan Jetty, our rec director, so we have the same list that we pull from, so it is open to them as well to do it. They would fall into that student list. I am talking with the STEM club. The caveat to having students, especially little students, is that there are additional waivers for the bus tour, and I need to hire a nurse.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
And then if they're really little, then I would also need a chaperone. So it's possible, it just adds another level of care.
Okay.
If you needed a nurse, I think I know one.
Yes, Mike Downey's wife is a nurse
Oh,
too,
there you
so
go.
it's her Christmas present. She gets to volunteer with us. We've talked about that this morning, actually. So. But yes, I'm sure Roberta would love to.
What is our schedule for the month of December?
14th.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then we start in
yeah,
January?
They can absolutely
Santa
apply.
hat that
Anybody
Wear
with
your
property
Santa
in
hat
Franklin.
that night.
14th Santa hats for everybody on 14th. No, I'm kidding. Okay, if there's nothing else, I will close the meeting.
Vote to adjourn.
Vote to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Okay, vote to adjourn.
Vote to adjourn.
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 Adjourn?
Adjourn.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Recording stopped.